Hello, 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 hello. What do we got here? I've always wanted to take pressed rosin and fraction distill it. That'd be hell yeah. I've seen people use what's called bubble hash. It's crude, obviously. Rosin would be that much. You would get that much higher of a yield, but in theory, whether it's rosin or whatever it is, it's our crude oil, so it's going to have to be winterized and then distilled or fractioned or however far you're going to go with it. This is just a short path head, so we're just doing a distillation. But this is a second pass, so we are getting a pretty tight fraction of THC. Having said that, when you winterize whatever crude you're going to use, you will, obviously pull out all the fats. With bubble hash, you pull out any solid or stock or anything like that. And with rosin, it would just be liquid material. But then once winterized, you recover. I use ethanol to winterize in, to dissolve and winterize in. It doesn't freeze, obviously. It's accessible, etc. But anyway, once you've filtered at a very, very, very low temperature, obviously, that solventless, rosin, bubble, whatever it is, you can definitely rotovac, recover, however you're going to get your ethanol off of there, and then bring it on over to the boiling flask, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today a little bit. As I mentioned, this is the second pass. So yesterday, had a long day. So, see, can you guys see everything? Kinda. What up, what up? What's up, Dirty? How you doing? Oh, hey, a couple of you guys showed up. What's up? So yesterday, I had a pretty long day. Did quite the distillation. It was about a liter of rotovac or recovered crude oil that had been completely winterized and decarbed. So by that point, and then of course that's the other thing with your solvents. Before you start your distillation, I typically decarb in the boiling flask, and I like to do it the night before I distill. That way I can let everything cool back down, and when I come in the morning, I can just start the vacuum and get a super, super deep vacuum before I even start applying heat. And what that gives me the ability to do with the short path head is pull a terpene fraction. And I went live, I think last week, and talked to you about the terpene fraction that I thought I pulled, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that I thought I pulled off of a single strain massive distillation of a strain which is extracted a little dark, but it was all a butterscotch. I didn't cut it quite early enough. I got a little bit of oil in it. This one you can see has a tiny, tiny little bit of color, but it smells. It's pretty freaking awesome, man. I'm very, very close. This, if you're like, honestly, this could absolutely be used to flavor some distillate in carts, and it's a blend of a bunch of different strains, so it's just very weedy, but it has maybe a hint of that like burnt rubbery kind of smell that comes off here in our heads. So anyway, by getting a deep vacuum before I even start to apply heat, I can very incrementally step up the heat, and it does take a little bit longer, but it's also how you get a higher quality product. So I pull off the terpenes first. They obviously are the most volatile. And then after that, we get into some of our terpenes here, and you can see, and so the rest of this is, all this colored stuff is, they call this oils, different volatiles, and just muck. Sometimes, depending on what I use for filtration and winterization, sometimes you'll see a little bit of blue in here, especially if there's azulene in the material. Having said that, so this splashy stuff is our muck and boils and etc. And then you can see the beginning of our head fraction. And then I switched to the main flask to collect the main fraction. And rather than switch flasks out and keep going, it had been a little over, about a 13-hour day. Rather than swap flasks out again to collect the tails, I just left them in the boiling flask. And obviously took my collection here and put it right into my other clean boiling flask. Took this all apart this morning, sterilized everything and cleaned everything with ethanol and water so that it would, there's no point in going a second pass if you're going to run your distillate over top of first pass distillate. Does that make sense? So it can be labor intensive, especially if you're a one-man show, because it's not like you can do the distillation and then let the cleanup guy come in and do it, or have a prep guy come in and filter or rotovap or anything. You know, it is what it is, man. We make it work. But after deciding I was getting into my tails, which I think again, I didn't do because I knew that I was going to pass this distillate twice, I didn't get real crazy about making sure that I was wasting some of my main fraction to get past my heads. I just kind of, I pushed the heads until it really kind of started to clear up a little bit, and then switched flasks. So there are heads in here. And I let it go for long enough into this that some color had clearly started to appear in the bigger row here. That's what they call the little part of the jacketed head here. They call these little increment or little push-outs of blast. They call that vigor, and that's literally there just to make that activity happen with the vapor as it boils up off the flask into this trap. So by going with this for a little while and cutting this a little early, we have heads and tails a little bit in what was our main fraction from yesterday, or our first pass. Now, today, you see the stuff that's running right there? So that can't be distillate, just because it's moving like that. You can see what obviously is distillate. So, sorry, I just got a message. I hate when I look at this. Every time I look at the screen, freaking messages come in. Anyway, you can see what is not distillate just because of how much it moves, and you can see how much of this is distillate. Having said that, you can see the color of it. It's very, very, very attractive. Very pretty. This is the heads from this morning. So, having said that, obviously there's little to, I was surprised to see the runny stuff come in here. Because the runny stuff meant that even some of the boils, which, I mean, I typically think I do a good job of getting past. Even some of the boils made it into my main fraction from yesterday. Let's see if I can see this happen without a message coming in. Well, now I can't see it anyway. Maybe I let it run. I don't know. There we are. Sorry, I just needed to slap it a little bit. Slap that ass. So you see the bit that's running there. This is actually boils, or fractions of boils, volatiles, muck. That's what boils is. I don't know. Fractions of muck that actually made it into our main fraction from yesterday's distillation. And of course, was able to separate when collecting the heads. And this, which I did let go until it was very, very, very clear, wasting just a little bit of my main fraction. Not a lot, but enough that I think I did a pretty good job of cutting a tight fraction, a tight main fraction. And then what will be important, of course, is that I either swap flasks or stop before I start to pull any of the tails that are left in this main fraction. And then having said that, I will end up, or having done that, I will end up with a pretty impressive product. And again, let me bring you in here because this is our head color, if you will. Pretty clear if you look at it like right on, but you can see on the side there, you can see it has coloring. It's not bad or anything, but it's not that. And yes, that's stopped flowing just because it's very, very cold on this side. And so the distillate gets solid, and I have to warm it up with a heat gun. But look at that. That's our main fraction that we're collecting now. Second pass distillate. So this is a quick one, guys. Just wanted to come in real quick and kind of show you what I'm doing, because I don't get to do a whole lot of second passes. A lot of times what I'm making first pass is plenty as far as quality and purity. This is exciting. But having said that, Having said that, the new series over on Patreon, Odds and Ends, which is available to everyone. I just asked, you just got to go to Patreon to watch it, which is just kind of funny. You go over to Patreon to watch a video on YouTube, but it's an unlisted YouTube video. Anyway, I don't think I need to get into the mechanics of how Patreon works. If you don't know, you probably don't care. So, the Odds and Ends series, I have a second video that I'm actually finished shooting, and I'm trying to get started editing. It's on the schedule. But more importantly, or maybe even a little bit more exciting, I have the run and the time and the equipment and all my materials and everything ready to go for Monday, which I'm going to be shooting a pretty in-depth closed loop extraction video. And we'll be running the 5-pound closed loop, and it's going to be beautiful. We're going to make some silly, silly, silly lemon slushy batter. So, that, of course, will not be a live stream. That's something that I'm going to put together, shoot throughout the course of the day, and then throughout the course of the week, take little bits of footage through the purge process, and so that you guys can see, we're going to go from biomass to batter. The only other announcement that I have, real quick before we go, is that I know that I've been dumping distillation content on you guys, and I imagine this is probably getting a little stale. But there is information here. There is a lot to learn for anybody that is interested. So having said that, please, I've gotten a couple messages recently about consultations since I kind of came back. Please feel free to reach out anytime. The 710extractionist@gmail.com or 710.consultations@gmail.com. Absolutely, my weekends are for editing and consulting. So, and I also have the evenings, as long as I don't work too bad. But anyway, so I got 2 Odds and Ends videos on the way. The plan for my closed loop video is super exciting. Next week it's going to be some lemon slushy batter, start to finish. And the distillation content, there's just so much of it. So I have a full distillation video that I need to shoot to follow the winterization video, and then of course that and the winterization video will couple very nicely with the closed loop, and I'll more than likely then just shoot a 4th video, more like a talking point video, and I'll try and keep it brief, but just essentially talking about what happens in between, and then of course I'll refer you to the Odds and Ends series, which is available to everybody, because in that series is where I do a lot of the processes that I forget to include when I'm filming a tutorial. Some things happen that don't always happen. So, it's just that's what the series is for. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope you have a chance to check it out. Aside from all of that, we have our Sunday night 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time live stream, 710 opinions, and that's where, of course, my beautiful and wonderful patrons ask questions, and I answer them live on YouTube every Sunday night. So, we're going to make this a quick one, because I am at work and I got a lot to do. I know this doesn't look like it's very labor intensive, but I got a lot to do on the other side of it, on the other side of the camera, and it took a lot of work to get to this. So, I love you guys. Hope some of you have a minute to go over and check out the Patreon content, especially next week after the Odds and Ends videos are up, so that you can check out some stuff without having to pay to get behind a locked post. If you are interested, I did start the new recruit tier, and it's only $3. You get access to all patron-only content and patron-only live streams, which I figured out how to do the other day. So I'm not that old. Actually, if you saw it, I'm fucking ancient. The first 10 minutes of it are me like, what's this button do? Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you much sooner than later, either here or, as Kippy says, over on the greatest gosh darn website in the entire world, www.patreon.com. Peace.